Hi guys, welcome back aboard good old Athena for yet more glorious DIY fun. We're starting to ramp up the search for a 50 to 60 foot project boat to replace Athena with, and also this summer I have my upcoming carbon fiber foam core dinghy build. So now would be a great time for me to start getting my tools under control. The first thing I want to take care of is this guy. I've had him for a really long time, but yeah, as you can see, he's just kind of falling apart. Enter stage left, the trusty Sailrite Ultra Feed, and also Mr. 3D Printer. If you're new here, we're Ava and Mess. I spent 7 years on a somewhat extensive refit of our 1987 Trident Warrior sailboat named Athena. It was an glorious sanding extravaganza. We left Denmark and started cruising full-time, sailing down Europe's west coast, and then we had our biggest adventure yet, crossing the Atlantic. Now we're sanding and sailing our way around the world. My plan was to design my own tool bag and have some fun with that, but then when I was searching around on the internet for some inspiration, I came across a couple of kits on Sailrite's website. The first one that caught my eye was this one, the tool roll with zippered pouches. As you can see here, it's rolled up, and here you can see the little pouches with zippers and windows. And then while I was snooping about, I also came across this utility tote. I figured I might pick up some new sewing skills from the Sailrite kits, and maybe that way I could do more of the canvas work on the upcoming dinghy and also on our next boat myself and save a mountain of money. I think all the materials we need are included with the kits. But there is one Sailrite accessory that might be nice to have for this, and it's of course one that we don't have. It's this magnetic sewing guide. Alas, fear not, I have got a couple of magnets and Mr. 3D Printer. This should be fairly straightforward. In Fusion 360, I have designed a blatant ripoff of this guy. He looks a little something like this, and if we switch to the section view here, you should be able to see that he has a void inside of him. Said void is the exact size of my magnets plus 0.2 of a millimeter. I want these magnets here to be fully encapsulated into the 3D print. That way they're not gonna fall out, and also the thing will maybe hopefully feel a little bit more like a finished product and not just like something spat out by a 3D printer. I've imported the STL file into the slicer, and now we're just gonna add a pause in the G-code right before we start building over that void. When the 3D printer reaches this breakpoint, it'll pause and it won't continue until I tell it to. That should give us time to insert our magnet. Okay, fingers crossed, this should take about 35 minutes. So far, this is looking very promising. You can even see the little void in there for the magnet. I feel like we're getting very close to the breakpoint. This is exciting. And we actually reached it like a second after I stopped the camera there. That's a bit of a shame, but the 3D printer is stopped. Now there's nothing magnetic or metal in the printing head there that should be able to pull out the magnets, so I should just be able to pop them in there, and that should be it. That looks like a nice snug fit. So I'll tell the printer to resume and continue keeping my fingers crossed. And there we go. It started covering up the magnet. It's kind of hidden under the print head right now, so you can't see it, but I'm assuming that's what it's doing. And now it's on to the first diagonal pass. I think this is gonna work out. Finishing the print took another 14 minutes. Besides having the fun of designing the thing myself, it was also a money saver. The magnets cost $3 and I used about 50 cents worth of filament, meaning I saved $26 compared to buying the official Sailrite magnetic guide. Ta-da! The finished part. Now the official one I am sure is a better design. Maybe the magnets are a little bit stronger, but I do believe this one is going to be magnificent. Lame jokes aside, I think this actually worked out really well. Like if I rattle the thing, the magnet is barely moving in there. It is a nice snug fit. The real question is, of course, will it want to do what magnets want to do? Oh, I think that's a yes. Okay, so it takes quite a bit of force to move it, so for sewing purposes, I think that's going to be perfect. In case you want to make your own magnificent sewing guide, I'll include links down in the description for the STL file I made and also for the magnets I used. If you do this, just remember to insert that break in the G-code so you can put your magnets inside of the print. The old tool organizer here that I'm retiring contains all the tools I either use often or stuff I think we might need to fix something while we're underway. Now that could be loose rigging, it could be an electrical issue, it could be a clogged fuel line or a belt replacement, stuff like that. I plan on doing the exact same thing with the new Rolly guy here. In fact, I ordered 2 of the kits because I don't know if they'll fit all of my stuff. If I can't fit all of this stuff into one of these, I might make a enlarged version once we get to the US, but let's cross that bridge when we get there. The way these Sailrite kits work is you watch a video of them doing it and then you do it yourself. I've already watched the video here and there are some techniques in there that I haven't tried before, like for instance mitered corners and sewing in windows. So this will be a learning opportunity for me, and that's really the big reason why I'm excited about this little project. And of course it's super convenient that the kit contains everything you need. So yeah, let's just jump right in. The kit comes with a giant piece of plastic with the pattern plotted on there. Space is limited inside of the boat, so I couldn't simply adhere the plastic to the fabric with spray adhesive like Sailrite did in their video. Instead, I opted to cut out a single piece of each of the pieces I would need and then mark how many of those to cut. I tried getting the plastic to stay put by putting stuff on top of it. That didn't work out all that well. I then figured out that I could use a little bit of the basting tape that came with the kit to adhere the plastic temporarily to the fabric. This worked really well, and as a big upside, the basting tape is super easy to remove afterwards and leaves absolutely no mess. I needed 8 pieces of this little guy, and I was wondering if the basting tape would remain sticky. It did. It worked flawlessly. If you're cutting out individual pieces like I did here, I think the basting tape might work better than the spray adhesive. At least it's less messy. As is so often true for sewing projects, I got interrupted by a chance to re-anchor. All the boats had shoved off, leaving the top-tiered premium spot in the anchorage free for the taking. With the hook back down and the snubber in place, I checked the time. It took 11 minutes, and now I shouldn't get hit so hard by the wake from the small ferry transporting people between the islands. Finally, I could get started on sewing. The Sailrite video does an amazing job of showing you the steps, and I'm not going to go through every single step here. If you want to see that, I'll include a link for Sailrite's video down in the description. I ran into a little bit of an annoyance. The basting tape was very sticky, but not very persistent. Maybe it's the heat here in the Caribbean, but the fabric kept lifting. The kit comes with a bag of these little things of thread. As Ava would say, super cute. But I think this thread might be part of an issue I ran into. I threaded the machine as I've done countless times before and set to work sewing. Smooth sailing so far, 0 issues. As you can see here, I enlisted the help of some clothespins to assist the basting tape. That worked really well, but this is where I ran into some issues. Sewing through 3 layers of fabric and the hook side of the Velcro, the stitches on the bottom were perfect to start with, but then slowly transitioned into bad and then onto whatever the heck this mess is. There's only one cure for this sickness. Oh, glorious unraveling. Puzzled by this issue, I reread the manual, played around with the tension, and on the advice from our friends from Kara, I even inspected for strike damage and took a peek at the timing. In the end, I loaded up a different thread and got a reasonable result. So far, the only issue I've encountered was sewing through the fabric and the hook part of the Velcro stuff here. Now, I have no idea what caused that. Our needle is due to be replaced, but all the ones I have here on the boat are the wrong size. See down there where it says 135 by 5? Apparently that should be 135 by 17. The only reason I think the thread might be some kind of part of the problem is because I've put the stuff that comes with the kit back on here, and even with the foot lifted so the tensioner here is disengaged, when I pull this thread, it takes a lot of force to pull that through. I've never really experienced that before. It's a Sailrite machine and it's a Sailrite kit, and I'm sure Sailrite knows what they're doing, and I'm sure they've sold tons of these kits. So really me thinking that the thread might be a part of it is just me grasping at straws, because, well, I can't replace the needle, and I've checked a bunch of other stuff and that didn't really tell me anything. So yeah, really what I should do is to contact Sailrite's customer support. The only other time we've needed them, they've been awesome, but we're done with the hook part of the Velcro stuff for now, so why don't we forge ahead and see if we run into any other issues. As said, so done. I cut the nylon webbing with our hot knife and got it attached to the rolly part of the rolly bag. That was a very motivating milestone to reach, and so far the bag looks pretty good. But, and there is always a but, I ran into more issues. Without making any adjustments to the machine, this is the difference I got between window panel number 1 and window panel number 2. Utterly defeated, I reached out to customer support. They replied within 20 minutes, suggesting it might be the placement of the foot on the hem that was the issue. After much trial and error, including snapping the thread a couple of times, I don't think that was actually the cause. I again tried switching out the kit supplied thread with one from our sewing bag, and that instantly fixed the issues. There is some kind of weird combination issue with our machine and the thread supplied in the kit. With the new thread, the rest of the kit was a breeze to put together. My favorite part of the project was sewing in the zippers and then finally being able to assemble the first of the bags. This is the same technique that could be used for cushions, and definitely something I'll use in the future. And here we go, ta-da! The first of the finished tool bags. That looks pretty dang spiffy, if I do say so myself. I finished the bag last night, and I'm really excited to move my tools in here. But while I was laying in bed last night, sleepless because of this thread issue here, I got to thinking. Now listen to this clip of the sewing machine with the kit supplied thread. And now listen to this clip of the thread that we just had here on the boat. As you can hear, there's much more of a cha-chunk, cha-chunk, cha-chunk sound with the kit supplied thread. Besides the cha-chunk sound difference, there's also the amount of friction on the thread. So this is the thread that's not supplied in the kit that's on there right now. And look, if I pull on this, like, it's this very, very little resistance. And note that I'm doing this test with the foot lifted, so the tensioner here is disengaged. Now I'm gonna rethread the machine with the kit supplied thread. Okay, so this is a little bit weird. Now I've swapped out the thread, and this one is actually good. There's not a lot of tension on that. I can easily pull it out. But when I first had this issue, when I tried pulling this thread, it was super tight, even with the foot lifted and the tensioner here disengaged. And I actually sent a little video, a super shaky video of that, to our friend support Kara to see what they thought. But yeah, this is weird. This is a bit of a wild guess, but I think the issue I've been having is caused by that high friction in the kit supplied thread. I think when the needle goes up and then there's that high friction, it prevents the thread from being pulled tight. Maybe there's some kind of setting I need to change. I doubt that. Maybe there's something I need to service. That's a possibility. And maybe it's just a worn out needle. I don't know. But I'll try reaching out to Sailrite's customer support again and see if they can point me in the right direction. Before I pack away the sewing machine, I just want to mention that my little Mr. Magnificent here performed flawlessly. There are 0 things I want to change about the design. It is long overdue, but it's finally time for my tools to move out of the crusty, rusty old bag into the new sweet, sweet life of luxury. The challenge here, of course, is I'm gonna go from having a bunch of little pockets to organize everything into basically just having 4 big pockets. So some kind of grouping will have to be employed. I think this is the grouping I'm going to start out with. I have a fastener pile here, so anything I need to get something unscrewed or tightened. Then we have a small electrical pile here with a multimeter, wire strippers, wire crimpers, and just some Wago nuts, just in case we need to do some kind of tinkering fix. Then there's a misc pile here because we only have 4 bags, so that's, yeah, just a bunch of other stuff. And then we have another bunch of misc here, which is lubricants, glues, a bit of Tef gel, just maybe stuff that's a little bit more fragile, so I don't want it to go in with this stuff. All that stuff very easily fits inside of the 4 bags. It's nice that there are the windows so you can see in, but it is a little bit more difficult than when I was organized in the old purse. So yeah, I'm already contemplating a modified version of this. I really like the idea of having these pouches to contain smaller items, but maybe if we took away one of them and then added little webbing loops or maybe some pockets, then we could take the screwdrivers and stuff, put that in there so that it's all nice and visible and still have it be like a rolly bag. I really like this little bag. It's pretty nifty, and the only reason I'm a little bit paranoid about the organization of these tools is because it's my underway tools. So it'd be nice to be able to easily and quickly get to the tools I need. Of course, I have mountains of other tools. In fact, according to Ava, too many tools, if that's a thing. But yeah, I was planning on organizing all of those other tools in the other rolly bag kit I have. So I'll have 2 of the rolly bags and then that tote kit from Sailrite also. And I was planning on making all of those this week, but I'm out of thread that doesn't mess up the sewing machine. So yeah, and I don't think Sailrite is going to be able to do much magic over email, considering that today is Friday and they're going to be closed for the weekend. So yeah, that will have to wait a little bit. I'm a little bit nervous about next week because I think it might get a little bit hectic. I've got the first 3 online sessions of my ABYC electrical certifications. The second half of the week we're supposed to get winds gusting up to 34 or 35, something like that. And yeah, then also Monday I need to extend my visa for the BVIs. And also, I desperately need to get the hull scraped because it's been about 4 weeks since I've mowed the lawn. What's making next week a little bit interesting is that visa extension, because I've talked to 3 different people and I've gotten 3 different answers as to whether or not I can do the visa extension here in Virgin Gorda or if I'll have to go to Tortola. And keep in mind, I'm single-handed right now, and if we have winds gusting in the mid-30s, it's not exactly going to be super easy for me to pick up a mooring ball. Add to that the fact that this visa extension has to happen, according to the people I've talked to, 3 to 4 days before your visa expires, so that doesn't leave me a lot of wiggle room. I'll give you guys an update on the sewing machine situation next week when I've had a chance to go back and forth with Sailrite's customer support, but if you have any suggestions as to what I might be doing wrong here, I would absolutely love to hear about it down in the comment section. And with that little plea for help, I'll end this week's video here. I hope to see all of you guys back here aboard Athena for what might be a bit of a hectic week next week. So yeah. As always, feel free to leave a comment down below, and don't forget, if you've enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a like. See you!